Good morning and welcome to Gunner Shot. Uh, Today we're going to analyze the PLA missile firing and we'll see what happened because a few days back they fired a intercontinental ballistic missile and did something. What did they do? This is my initial analysis. As we go along, as the story unfolds or the whole thing takes shape, I'll come back to you later. But let's do this first. Before I start this analysis of the PLA, I must tell all of you that today is Gunner's Day. Today is the 198th anniversary of the Regiment of Artillery, and it's a proud day for me. And you know, a lot of good wishes and all that. But my good wishes are to the nation. If our artillery prospers, the nation prospers. So, what can artillery do? A lot of people have been asking me. So, this, that, modernization, X, Y, Z, and all that. Let me give you a glimpse of what artillery can do. And this is just one battery of the Grad BM21. Have a look at it, and then we'll speak further. Well, happy Gunners Day. This is what gunners can do. And, those of you who don't believe what I say, and I'm proud that I made all this happen for a considerable part of my life. Okay, now let's get on to what this whole PLA firing was all about and all that. This is what the PLA put out. This is the official statement which they put out day before yesterday. They said the PLA rocket force launched an ICBM intercontinental ballistic missile carrying a dummy warhead to the high seas in the Pacific Ocean at 8:44 on September 25th. Right, that is China time. And the missile fell into expected sea areas. This test launch is a routine arrangement in our annual training plan. It is in line with the international law and international practice and is not directed against any country or target. But it's not so routine, right? What they said. And they said it's not aimed at any target or a country, but we'll infer that. But what's important is this is the first launch which they've done in more than 40 years. Okay. And then the Chinese media went to and said, look, we've given all the countries which are in the path and all adequate notice as per international norms. Japan said it didn't receive any intimation and expressed their concerns, and so did Australia and New Zealand because they're all in that same path, in that same area. So, what is this test all about? That's what we want to know. It's routine, but is it directed against one country or a target? No. It's given multiple signals. That's what I want to put across. First, as far as the missile itself is concerned, we don't know really whether it's a DF-41 or a DF-31. A DF-31, there's a new system called the DF-31AG. It's with the upgraded propulsion system, and they would have upgraded the electronics also on it. What we know is it's not a test firing. It's an operational firing of the PLA. That's the important thing. There's not some test being carried out or launch being carried out by scientists and all that. No, operational firing. And it was fired from a proper launcher. It's called the TEL, TEL, TEL. What is it? It's a transporter erector launcher. So it's an operational firing, a mobile launcher, basically. That's what I said. And it's a cold launch. What is a cold launch? Normally when you fire a missile, the first stage of that propellant, is ignited, and then it takes off. In the cold launch, what you do is you don't do that. You push the missile out by pressure. You pressurize the chamber, and the missile is put in the launcher. You generate the pressure and launch it, and as the missile takes off, you ignite the propellant. It becomes a little more efficient. That's about all. It doesn't give you additional range and all. It gives you additional stability as the missile goes up, and it gives you stability basically in space because you get a slightly longer burn time. Okay, that's a cold launch. Uh, the way they've launched everything and being a road launch system or a mobile launcher, it's one of their latest systems. I'm sure they have developed, tested one of their latest systems. And from what one can make out from DF-31 and DF-41 is that what they've used at least is that it is they've used a single re-entry vehicle. It's not a multiple re-entry warhead. They have multiple re-entry warheads, and that's part of the story of China. But this is a single re-entry warhead. What is a single re-entry warhead? It's a 3-stage rocket. One stage would have taken the missile up to a particular level. The second would have taken it to a further level, and the third would have put it into space. And then only one vehicle has come back, or one warhead has been made to re-enter back. Okay, that's the important point. Right. Now, this is the map which they've shown. I'll show you the pictures because that's more important for you. This is what has been put out September 25th, 044 GMT. Right. Missile likely fired from Hainan Island, believed to be the first time since 1980 that China launched ICBM into the international waters. And it fell in the Pacific near the French Polynesia. This is what's come out. You look at it from this point of view, from a 3-dimensional point of view. It's fired from Hainan. It's fired not over Taiwan, not over Luzon. Luzon is the northernmost part island of Philippines, and Taiwan. They fired it between the two. Right? This is a ballistic missile. I'll explain what a ballistic missile is, etc., 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 etc. We'll talk of that. And on the other hand, it went and fell in near French Polynesia. About 300 to 400 kilometers is what they say, and far away from Hawaii. Now the issue is they've said they've launched, but we don't know the accuracy. The accuracy is just not known. Okay, and because we don't know the accuracy for the simple reason that we don't know. What we don't know is what is the exact coordinates at which they fired. So whatever they fired is correct, and we take it as that. Okay. Now, what is the interesting part? If you see a full length of the whole thing, again, I'll get out, have a look at it, full thing. They fired from Hainan right down to French Polynesia, where you look where Hawaii is, and all that. And the interesting part, where the controls are and all that in insects, we'll not get involved with it. The thing is, if you look at it from a circular point of view, yes, this missile can reach USA, mainland USA from there. There's no doubt, 12 to 15,000 kilometers, it goes across. So it has its implications. We'll discuss that. Okay. Now, let me explain to you the kind of missiles which are in anyone's inventory, generic, right? And compare it to what has actually been demonstrated and fired. What has been fired is the ballistic missile, the one in blue. That trajectory has been fired. Okay. So you have to be very clear about that. The second thing which could have been fired or which they have in their inventory is the hypersonic glide vehicle, which they have not fired. What is a hypersonic glide vehicle? It goes to an extent, there it lets go a glide vehicle which glides down to the target, and that will be a, is it a hypersonic velocity? What is hypersonic? The hypersonic part is the launch. The glide vehicle starts maneuvering from top of the atmosphere, maintains its speed and comes down the way you want it, And I'll speak about the glide a little later. Then you could also have a hypersonic cruise missile, like BrahMos. BrahMos is of course supersonic only. It goes at about 4 Mach. One more Mach and you're past supersonic. Because supersonic is anything above 5 Mach is supersonic. So what we have fired today, what we have witnessed is this ballistic missile. It is not a cruise missile. It's not a hypersonic. So don't get confused. Let's not have different thinking. Okay. Now, why you want to fire? What's the problem of a ballistic missile? The ballistic missile gets detected, whereas a hypersonic glide vehicle or a hypersonic cruise missile, as you can see in this, picture, it will go. A hypersonic glide vehicle will go along the red trajectory below detection, the cone, and the hypersonic cruise missile will hug. You can make it hug the terrain, so it can't get detected. That is where the hypersonic cruise and the glide vehicles are advantageous. And I said there's a ballistic trajectory to the target, so it's just a parabolic trajectory. If it had been a MIRV or a MAR or multiple independently targeted re-entry vehicles, they would have come and each missile from the main warhead would have followed its own path. Okay. Now I'm showing you something called the FOBS. What is FOBS with the orange trajectory? FOBS is a acronym for fractional orbit bombardment system. What is fractional orbit bombardment system? You fire a missile and it need not go in the direction of your target or anything. It is launched into space and put into orbit. So it's an orbital system. It's orbiting the Earth. Whenever you want it, you fractionize that orbit and make him dip to the Earth. Like you see, there's a yellow line on top which goes with a dotted line, but there's a yellow line which dips down. That yellow line is the fractional. You fractionize the orbit and make him dip onto the target. Now, all this is, China has the capability. I'll come to it a little later. But China has not used it. So what they've used is the ballistic missile. Okay. Right. What is the glide principle? Understand this. In the glide principle, you launch the missile at about 100 kilometers above the atmosphere, right? Just short of the where the atmosphere finishes. You have a separation. The glider gets separated from the main missile. And thereafter, the glider is controlled by the satellite. And then it is, now this glider, because it has gone to that height where there's no air density, air is rare, there's no, it's near space, it's coming down at great speed, and it catches speed with the additional gravity. And it is around 10 Mach. It could be 8, 7, 8, 10 Mach. It doesn't matter. And then it keeps coming down. Satellite controls it. To the end, it becomes a conventional weapon. It's a different thing that you could put a nuclear warhead on it or a conventional warhead. But we'll come to that a little later. Okay. Now, I'll give you an idea of the Chinese ballistic missiles so that you have a whole idea. Cruise and ballistic missiles. In fact, as per CSIS, China has the most active and dense missile development program in the world, or the diverse missile development program in the world. It is modernizing its ICBMs, developing multiple independently targetable re-entry vehicles, and hypersonic boost glide vehicles. Now, China's Navy is also developing a new fleet of nuclear ballistic submarines. And with that nuclear submarines, you will get ballistic missiles also. Okay, right. And it is also advancing its ISR. What is ISR? Intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance capability. So all this gives China a very potent capability. Now, this is the inventory of missiles which China has. Either the DF-31, which I've shown, or the DF-41 would have been used in this missile, in this thing. If they had used DF-41, you're looking at a range of 12 to 15,000 kilometers. 31 is 7 to 11,700. Then, if they've used the DF-31, they've fired it at their extreme range. Okay, and in this you can also say which are all operational, and what are the cruise missiles and what is the SRBM and ये वो सब इसमें है at your own this thing. That's why I've shown it full. You can have a look at it in detail. Okay, now let me plug this whole story with what I did earlier. I did an extensive video on analysis of the PLARF. Okay, where they're deployed, what kind of thing are there, how many bases they have, how many silos they have, what the entire philosophy, their organization, everything I had done about 3-4 months back. Now that's the link for the YouTube in Ghana shot, and this link I put in the description of this video. Have a look at it, because this gives the larger issue of the PLARF, and this just today it gives you today is just as a focus. It's an initial analysis. As things go, we'll take it. Okay. Now the point is this: it's not as if China has this is the first test in 44 years. ये वो सब बकवास है. Let's be very clear. They have not fired ICBM in the last 40-50 years. That's okay. Earlier they used to fire, right? But they've been testing other systems. They have tested the DF-26 in Mongolia and Xinjiang in Tibet. They've carried out nuclear tests at Lopnar in Tibet. In 2021, they fired that FOBS, which I showed you. The one with the yellow trajectory. Yeah, this the yellow trajectory one. They fired FOBS in the hypersonic mode. And that was quite deadly. Actually, that technology is something we must grant it to them, that China is the only one which has this kind of demonstrated a FOBS with a hypersonic glide vehicle. But when they fired it in 2021, the missile or the glide vehicle in the final stages, they couldn't control it. It went 20 kilometers off. So there's no point in firing a costly missile over such a long distance and it going 20 kilometers off. As of now, I don't think the hypersonic with FOBS is as yet weaponized in the full format we're looking at. Okay, it is still in a development phase. What warhead it has got or not, no one knows. But the fact is they have this technology. That's important. Then another thing, everyone says, look, we should have a lot of hypersonic AU and all that. And at the end of the day, a hypersonic missile takes out only one target. It doesn't take out two targets. So unless China is very clear as to what it is doing, so many hypersonics and all are waste of time, in my way of thinking. They give good technology, good everything. They'll beat the air defense systems. They'll do everything and take out one target at the end of the day. What's the big deal? If it's a very critical target, and which will turn the war, yeah, probable. But in the history of warfare, no single one missile or two missiles have turned warfare, except if you use nuclear warheads. Will China use nuclear warheads? That's a big question. See, the moment you talk of nuclear warheads, you're looking at a political weapon. It's no more a tactical or operational weapon in the military man's hand. It's a political weapon. The ramifications are more. Has China war gamed all its posters out? I don't know. Is it prepared to take that risk? Because if someone responds and there's a regime change which happens in China, the communists will go out. So are the communists ready to do that? So there are a lot of issues. We'll not go into nuclear thing. Okay. They've also fired DF-21 in the South China Sea. They've also fired missile firing around Taiwan when Nancy Pelosi came. So it's not as if they have not carried out tests. Some of these tests they carried out scientifically, some especially against around Taiwan and all, they've carried out with PLA. So PLA has fired there. And at that time, if you remember, they were duds. They fired about 11, 12 missiles. Some of them were duds. In this, they fired one missile and it's been successful. All the best to them. And what's important is that it is an operational firing. And more importantly, they announced it beforehand as a training exercise of the PLA and not as a development test. So this is a military launch. It's not a test launch by ISRO type of a situation. This is a proper operational launch. Okay, that's what you have to understand. Now, being an operational launch, there are some implications. What are the implications? It's a training exercise. A full-fledged training exercise would have written because I've done it for our own people, so I can understand what has happened there. Right? They would have done how to take the missile out, energize it, um, check it out, run all the electronics in it and all that, and then put it on a launcher and take it to a particular point and then fire it. And their entire sequence has been operationalized in this, which every army will do. Every time you do launch, you go through this. Okay. So it's not something new, but they've done that training. So we have to be cognizant of that. The second thing is the logistics of this whole story, they would have sorted out. Okay. Main thing which a lot of people are saying is, if you remember, people said their missiles have water, this, that, and all that. So the capability of the PLA has been tested. And that all this missile capabilities with the corruption rumors and all has been tested. Let's grant it to them. You have to be cognizant. Because Xi Jinping had lost confidence in their missile force. It apparently, from the number of sackings of the missile force commanders, that was apparent. But I still have questions on this. Let me highlight my doubts. You see, when they did this launch, they would have ensured that this is a fresh missile. But, proper, because you launch something, you give a no time out, and then you fire out, and it doesn't work, then they'll be in trouble. Yeah, I mean, unka to man maryada gaya. Okay, it would have been an egg on the face. So they would have checked the missile out 10 times. And this missile would have been a brand new missile. So if it is a brand new missile, there is still question marks on the older missiles. See, the problem won't happen with the brand new missile off the production line, everything new and check out, and you fire, everything will be okay. What happens to the old missiles? How do you check that out? Or have they taken the risk of taking one missile out of their stock and fired? I don't think Xi Jinping had this kind of a political risk taking to do that, because if it had gone, probably he would have been also gone. So that's how it is. So, and they would have tested out, because we don't know exactly why they did this test, but I'm talking of one facet. Then they would have also done this test because recently the Minuteman missile of USA, they had to abandon it just before firing. Some time back, there was a Russian missile failure, and in that Russian missile failure, it burst on the launcher itself. So you take that as one, the US launch as second, and now the Chinese launch. They're putting a point across. Oh, we are good. You chaps don't couldn't do it. We have done it, and it's a messaging to their own people. Look, we are capable of doing this. See, the Russians have failed. The US people have failed, but we have not failed. So we have a very strong force. So a lot of things, there are political issues, practical issues, and there's a messaging given to the others कि भैया हमारे पास सब कुछ है and all that. So all these issues are there in this launch. Okay. And then there's a policy of coercion now which they can put. Already people are saying, so look, Chinese have launched a missile which can reach USA. Everyone knew it. Now they demonstrated it. That means they can do it. And now they can coerce. If they can coerce USA, they'll coerce India also tomorrow. They'll coerce everyone. They also put the nuclear option back on the table. They are signaling strength, resolve, everything. Okay, that look, we can do it. We will do it. This test could have happened because of some external impetus. What is that external impetus? I don't know. Maybe they've been needled into doing this. There's a whole lot of things. No one will tell you why they have done it. Why the Chinese have done it, no one knows. Why the Chinese came to Eastern Ladakh, you can still guess. You have about 10, 12 reasons. Any one of them could have happened. Even in this case, same thing. And then the US guys, they have deployed the Typhoon system in Luzon. Where is Luzon? Here, look at it. Yeah, 1 minute. Yeah. So if you see, Luzon is the northernmost territory of Philippines. Just north of that is Taiwan. On Luzon, USA has deployed the Typhoon missile system. From Luzon, a Tomahawk cruise missile, which has a range of about, say, 1,000 odd kilometers or more. They have different varieties. It can hit the mainland. It can hit anything up to Vietnam. It can cross, Taiwan. All the islands in the South China Sea come under its shadow. So, this test is indication for them to tell USA कि भाई आपने तो वो deploy कर दिया. I can also do something. I have. And of course, in the last 2+2 dialogue with the Japanese, the US gave support for nuclear support. Let me explain this. There's a debate within Japan whether we should nuclearize. So in that 2+2 dialogue, the US people went and told Japan, you don't have to develop nuclear capability. We will come to your rescue. We will be there. We will give you the support. So is this some signaling to Japan, Taiwan, Philippines, and USA, and also to Australia and all those people कि भाई ये हम कर सकते हैं. And is it also a thing to us? But look at it from another point of view. We also tested Agnify. We tested Agnify recently with multiple independent, capability, re-entry capability. If you remember, I did a extensive program on that also with Mr. Sri Iyer. So that also is there. So, both things are there. So I won't take it beyond that, but we'll have to see how things happen beyond this. Okay. So I have finished for the day as far as this test, the initial analysis is concerned. I'll take on your questions and then we'll see, how it goes. I'll not be doing anything in the evening because today today being Gunners Day, I have to go for a function in Dakshin Bharat area, right? So, yeah, JP. When will Bharat have ICBMs of such ranges of 12,000 to 15,000 kilometers? Does technology limit us, or does political will limit us in pursuit of such ICBMs? When will Bharat get them? See, why do you need ICBM? Right? I mean, look at it. You need a range which can threaten your adversary. Do we have that? We have that. We have enough capability to cover complete China. Of course, Pakistan to chhod do. We don't foresee uh, that USA will be our adversary or Russia will be our adversary. We have only two adversaries. Let's be very clear. Do we have the range to reach every part of that adversary? Yes. In addition to that, you also have a triad capability. You also have two nuclear submarines. So I mean, with nuclear submarine, you can actually go to South China Sea and fire from there, right? So, do you need that? Technology is there. The day you feel that China is going to be your threat, we'll develop it. So it's not a requirement at this point of time. And I keep telling everyone, you don't have to go head to head with everything. You need to have the weapon systems which are good enough for your outlook and operational necessity or your strategic necessity. So if you have that, you're okay. Okay. It says Jai Hind, Maulana ji. यार वो तेरा नाम बदली करो. I don't know this thing. Okay, recently there was news that all the three aircraft carriers of China cruised into the wide Pacific Ocean. What is the implication for the USA? Look, they've just gone. There are three boats going into Pacific Ocean. They've gone beyond the first island chain. It has no value unless they carry out an exercise. Do they have aircraft for this? No. Right? Uh, can they do inter-carrier operations? There are no reports. You see, we did a two-carrier operations recently. So if they don't have it, then there's no. It's a waste. Three carriers have to support each other over a large distance. They just sailed. See, this is all. What shall I say? Optics of Chinese. Whether they have this is going to take time. For us to develop the capability to carry out carrier-based operations, it's taken us a long, 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 long time. Decades. Chinese have just started. Don't worry. Difference between a test launch and an operational launch. See, in a test launch, you are testing out a system. You have a propulsion system, you test it. You have a warhead, you test it. You have a communication system, you test it. It is normally carried out in the development phase by engineers and scientists and things like that. Operational launch is different. That means you're ready. This is an operational missile. If tomorrow you have to go for war, you'll use that missile. And this is the one. This is like, what has happened. They've done an operational launch by PLA. It's not by some scientific academy. That's the important thing. Yeah, good afternoon. Thank you for your time, effort. We will rise as a civilizational successful. Yes, I'm sure we'll. I have no doubt. With major expose of corruption in the rocket force of PLA, water instead of rocket. See, all this is nonsense. We don't know whether water was spilled or this is part of info war of China, right? So we don't know. We don't know all this. I don't want to get involved with this kind of talk at all. I think they are planning big. Everyone plans big. Usse kya hai? Manu Swami water case may be fake. Yes, I think it's fake. Apart from ICBM, China having such a mobile launcher means what? Look, first and foremost, it's not as if the China didn't have this mobile launcher. It always had. We also have. So it's not something new. It's a full system, isn't it? How far advanced is China in mobile launcher technology? What is a mobile launcher? Mobile launcher is a missile on a vehicle. They carry, I think, this DF-31 and DF-36 in a 16 wheels or a 32-wheeled vehicle. Does it match that of USA, Russia? Yeah. And we are there. Don't worry. For the missiles we have launches. Okay. What is the geopolitical message China is trying to send with this ICBM? I told you this. What is their message to USA? Yeah, we can reach, we can play the nuclear card, everything. So, which I explained to you. It is signaling. It is telling, look, we can do what we want. China sending a message. Yes, see, a launch of this need not be directed to a person. It can be anywhere. But the message is can go all around. That's the point. China's massive upgrading of its nuclear arsenal is a major concern to US. Why is it happening? Is it a China is planning to start a war? Otherwise, why do such a major expansion? See, Xi Jinping feels that having nuclear weapons is a matter of power. He feels power comes globally by having more nuclear weapon systems. So, if that be so, they'll have the with that in aim, they are building up their nuclear arsenal, increasing their nuclear arsenal. Do you think they'll go for a nuclear war? They can't. No one in his right senses will. So this is all posturing, deterrence, everything. Okay, and this doesn't operate in you know conventional warfare. Okay, there is a term which is used in nuclear deterrence as stability instability paradox. What is this stability instability paradox? Uh, See, when two people have nuclear weapon systems, the bigger war doesn't take place because there's a stability which comes about by both having nuclear weapons. But there's an instability which opens at the bottom. Lower level conflicts will happen. Will happen. They'll say, ये छोटा मोटा कर लो, बड़ा वाला नहीं करेंगे. That's what happened in Eastern Ladakh. That's what happened in Kargil. So the space for this instability and conventional operations, that's why I keep telling all of you, China will not attack in a big way, is limited because we are a nuclear power, they are a nuclear power. We have whatever we have, they have whatever. It doesn't matter who fires how many, both will be hurt. So it leaves space at the bottom, at the instability syndrome at the bottom, stability instability paradox. So in which case the instability will happen at the bottom and that will be limited. So with China will only have limited operations. So with Pakistan. One extreme is the Kargil operation, the other extreme is 2020 Ladakh operations. Yeah, yesterday's show with Shayarji was so fire. Thanks a lot. I spoke my heart out. That's what it is. There's a lot of reaction from Bangladesh. I would request all of you have a look at it because Bangladesh is becoming like a Iraq next to us. There are repercussions which I'll keep analyzing down the line. Okay. Yeah, your knowledge is great, sir. Hats off. Thanks a lot. You know what? My knowledge is not great. The only thing is, I've been in this field. Uh, I was part of the first Prithvi missile firing and the first Agni missile firing when 1988, 89. So I know the story well, what's happening. That's why. It's not a matter of, it's a practice. Okay. How do major powers ensure effectiveness of their missile stockpiles? How does army and political leadership keep its confidence in their older stockpiles like our Prithvi? Prithvi is virtually phased out. That's gone. It's a old missile. It's gone. You keep reinventing new missiles, developing improvements, modifications, regular checkout, repairs. So there's a process. Don't worry. And Indian Army is very good at it. And you have to spend a lot of money in this whole business. It's not just that you have a missile, but the amount you have to spend in keeping a missile force up is humongous. China seems more rattled with its internal rank and file that it wants to test its hardware and make a point that its tech is just not cut, copy, paste, and homegrown and works as well. Yes, I agree with you. This could be one of the reasons. They're unsure. If they're unsure and if something happens tomorrow, what? So this is a risk which China has taken. That's why to marginalize the risk of failure of a missile system, they must have made one missile new and fired. And they might be showing, oh, हमने try कर लिया ये वो. Then stories will come out. We'll have to wait out, Venki, how this whole story has evolved, because nothing today. Everyone says great firewall and all. China comes out with the truth comes out of China. It might come a month later, 2 months later. Let's see. We also tested Agni Mark 4, Agni 4 Mark 2, which is also single warhead. What's our purpose for such a weapon as contrasted with Agni 5, which has MIRVs? Do planners imagine having such a limited war? No, no, we will not have a nuclear war. Well, let's be very clear about it. That's wishful thinking. What we are going to have is the power which we derive out of strategic capability which we have. This is all game of deterrence. I have this capability, I have this power, I have this technology. So if you think you have something, fine, we'll handle you. You're conveying a message. They've conveyed a message, we've also conveyed a message. Now, when you have a single re-entry vehicle, it is one warhead. When you have multiple re-entry warhead, your force capability is multiplied. So that's better technology, which we now have. In the very few countries which have MIRV technology, USA, Russia, China, and India. That's the point. Bangladeshi have a limited knowledge, which is, oh, forget about Bangladesh. उसको कहाँ आप लोग लेके आ रहे हो? Have you read The Last War by Colonel Praveen Swami of the Indian Army? Osama Lone, let me tell you, Praveen Swami is a gunner. Okay, he's far junior to me. And in my way of thinking, he's an idiot. He knows nothing. Okay. The chap who's just spent 3-4 years in the army as a short service officer, he's just Agniveer plus. वो category में है. He would have understood nothing. He had a gift of the gap and writing earlier. He was very good. I liked him at one point of time. I respected him also at one point of time. But slowly he's become anti-Indian, pro-China, pro-Pakistan. That's not good. Okay. So if you have read it, I would suggest, toothpaste लगा के दांत मंजन कर लो और कुछ, तेल तूल लगा के सर भी साफ कर लेना. Because this fellow doesn't know anything. And my guess is that he's on the payroll of Chinese. And I've said this many times to all people. In fact, he has, any one of us senior officers who has contested what he has said, he's blocked us completely. He doesn't come anywhere near artillery. We keep having a lot of get-togethers, we keep having reunions and all that. ये कहीं नहीं आता हूँ. Because if he comes there, ना इसका धुलाई हो जाएगा. All of us will slap the hell out of him. Physically, I'm telling you. So don't get too worked up about that idiot. In fact, if you read, you'll get polluted. Yeah. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat. I see that's the last question I have in front of me. Thanks a lot. This was a short presentation, initial analysis. We'll come back with more. Right? Till tomorrow evening, I'm going to have an open session. I'm going to tackle 4 subjects in the roundup tomorrow. I'm going to tackle BRICS. I'm going to tackle UN, reform of UN. I'm going to tackle Israel-Iran war. And I'm also going to tackle USSR Ukraine war. 4 subjects. Okay. So come in, join in, and I'll be more than happy to answer any question of yours. Thank you. Good afternoon. and have a great day. Jai Hind.